Hello and welcome to Idea TV News Updates. I am Paul Olatipopo. We begin with the headlines. BCPG calls for advanced secure tech after deadly YABA building collapse. Access Bank launches 2025 Womenpreneur Pitchathon. US reaffirms support for Nigerian students at 2025 Education Fair in Abuja. China pledges $10 billion to build Africa's Silicon Valley in South Africa. And away from Africa, Trump's $100,000 HB1 visa sparks concerns for US tech sector. And in health, IPOKIA General Hospital in Ogun State crumbles amid negligence endangers patients. And in business, new insurance reforms set to boost Nigeria's growth economy. And in sports, FALCONETS edge Rwanda 1-0 on the ongoing Under-20 World Cup qualifiers. And now to the news in full. The Building Collapse Prevention Guild has called for the urgent deployment of advanced equipment and technology to improve emergency response efforts in Nigeria, following the strategic four-story building on September 12, 2025 in YABA, Lagos State. According to Bayo Ogunride, coordinator of the BCPG YABA cell, the rescue operation lasted 4 days and saved at least 10 lives, but 4 fatalities were recorded, including 2 bodies recovered days after the collapse. Ogunride recommended that the relentless efforts of the emergency responders from NEMA, LASEMA, LASBEC, and other agencies, but emphasized the need for urgent rescue tools to reduce fatality and preserve structural evidence for investigation. He noted that the incident bore striking similarities to a 2022 collapse in Onike, Yaba, which also involved a 4-story building near completion. In both cases, missing project boards and suspected violations of building code were observed. The BCPG warned that the growing trend of multi-story development in Yaba by unregulated and uncertified developers threatened the area's structural integrity. Ogunride urged stronger enforcement of state certification and called for a forensic investigation to determine the exact cause of the collapse. He also encouraged residents to report unsafe construction activities, aligning with LASBEG saying "See Something, Say Something" campaign. The developer of the collapse building, identified as Tajuddin, survived the collapse and is currently hospitalized under police watch. Moving on, Access Bank has launched the 2025 edition of its flagship Womenpreneur Pitchathon initiative aimed at empowering female entrepreneurs across Africa through training, mentorship, and access to grants. Applications open on Friday, September 19 and will run until October 3, 2025, offering women-led businesses 2 weeks to apply for the prestigious program. At the launch event in Lagos, Nene Kunle Ogunlusi, Group Head of Women Banking at Access Bank, described the initiative as a transforming platform that helps and also has supported hundreds of women since its inception in 2019. The 2025 edition will include a mini MBA program in partnership with the International Finance Corporation, IFC, and winners will receive over 17.5 million naira in grants, with additional support services for other finalists. The program is open to women who own at least 50% of their registered business and have been operating for a minimum of a year. Oyeyepo Ifeoluwa, the project manager, emphasized its focus on long-term business sustainability, noting the 878 women that have been trained and $175,000 in grants disbursed since the program began. Interested applicants are encouraged to apply via Access Bank Womenpreneur portal before the deadline. And in the US, the US state government has reiterated its commitment to supporting young Nigerian students, innovators, and future leaders seeking to study in the U.S. The assurance was given by Brian Nertz, the public diplomacy officer at the U.S. Embassy during the 2025 Education USA Nigerian Fair held on Monday, September 22 in Abuja. The fair themed Empowering Futures Discover America Excellence in Education and Innovation connected students with representatives from over 28 U.S. universities and colleges. The event is part of an annual global series that provides Nigerian students, parents, and guardians with access to first-hand information on U.S. higher education opportunities. Attendees are guided on academic programs, scholarship, financial aids, and admission requirements. Nubet emphasized that Education USA offers free counseling to help students through the application process and encourage responsible compliance with student visa rules for those admitted in the U.S. While praising Nigerian students' past achievements in American institutions, Nubet reminded attendees that studying in the U.S. is both a privilege and a responsibility. His remark comes amid previous concerns over delay in student visa approval, which affected hundreds of students in 2024. Nonetheless, the U.S. remains committed to partnering with Nigeria in developing future leaders who will return skills and global exposure to contribute meaningfully to their own country. I'm moving on now to China, which has pledged over $10 billion in investments to South Africa for over the next 5 years, targeting critical infrastructures including ports, railways, and landmark technology park envisioned as Africa's largest Silicon Valley. The agreement was announced during the South Africa-China bilateral commission meeting in Pretoria in South Africa, chaired by the President Cyril Ramaphosa and Chinese Vice President Han Zheng. President Ramaphosa described the deal as a boost for industrial modernization and youth employment, noting that the partnership will create opportunities for young people in the sector in the future. The investment could double South Africa's annual FDI rates, which totaled to about $9 billion in 2023, and reinforce China's growing trade influence, with bilateral trade surpassing $55 billion in 2024. While the pledge promises economic transformation, challenges remain as South Africa must overcome power outage, regular delays in supply of power, and also high youth unemployment to deliver and also on the promise of digital hub. The project aims to revive Kenya's Silicon Savannah and Rwanda's Innovation City, but success will depend not just on funding, but also on the execution, reforms, and local skill alignment. And now moving away from Africa now, we see here that U.S. techs little movement on Monday after President Trump announced a $100,000 annual fee on H-1B visas, intensifying concerns over rising labor costs and limited access to foreign skilled workers. Howard Lee of Commerce explained this to pressmen during a press briefing yesterday.
We need workers, we need great workers, and this pretty much ensures that that's what's going to happen. I think, Sean, do you agree with that?
Well, they're $100,000 per year.
Visas. Does this apply to them or to renewals, or does it only apply to people applying for the first time from abroad?
Renewals, first times, the company needs to decide, is the person valuable enough to have $100,000 a year payment to the government, or they should head home and they should go hire an American. The whole idea, it's annual, and it's for total, it can be a total of 6 years. So $100,000 a year, so either the person is very valuable to the company and America, or they're going to depart and the company's going to hire an American, and that's the point of immigration. Hire Americans and make sure the people coming in are the top people. Stop the nonsense of letting people just come into this country on these visas that were given away for free. President is crystal clear. valuable
The
people
H-1B
only.
program is critical for companies in technology and engineering fields, with over 70% of last year's visas awarded to Indian nationals. Major tech giants like Amazon, Alphabet, Google, Meta, and Microsoft rely heavily on H-1B workers to support growth in areas including cloud computing and artificial intelligence. Industry experts warn that the new fee applied only to new applications could still tighten the skilled labor supply, pushing up wages and squeezing profits margin by 4 to 13%. In Indian IT companies who depend on US work visas were particularly hard hit, with stock like Infosystem and WeFrom failing amid fears the fee will severely restrict the new H-1B approvals. Analysts say that the fee is nearly double the median salaries of many Indian IT firms, making new hires economically unviable. Industry groups such as an Indian NASCOM and US Chamber of Commerce are expected to challenge the policy, arguing it will stifle innovation and deter global talent from working in the United States. We're going to a quick break now, and once we return, we continue with the news. So we'll be right back.
Human augmentation. Human augmentation is enhancing human abilities through exoskeletons, wearable technology, and brain-computer interfaces. For instance, exoskeletons are helping individuals with mobility challenges walk again, while brain-computer interfaces allow users to control devices with their thoughts. However, concerns around accessibility and privacy remain. The market for human augmentation is expected to grow to $298.5 billion by 2027, driven by demand in healthcare, defense, and personal productivity tools.
Yeah, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still the news update here on Idea TV, and now to the rest of the news. Anyhow, the General Hospital in IPOKIA, Ogun State, once a beacon of hope for the community since its opened in 1970, has fallen into a state of severe disrepair. Patients arriving at the facility are met with leaking roofs, broken beds, and outdated medical equipment, forcing many to seek care elsewhere. The hospital, which serves multiple wards in the local government area, now struggle with dilapidated infrastructure and a lack of essential health care services. Community leaders and residents say the hospital declined system from years of government neglect. Medical equipment was reported to have been moved to Abeokuta due to a shortage of trained staff at IPOKIA. Despite donations like ambulance and solar panels installation from local benefactors, the facilities remains understaffed, with only one doctor and an NYC corps member attending to patients. The hospital's restrooms are always in a deplorable state, exposing serious health risks. Efforts by community groups and traditional rulers to seek government intervention has far yielded little or no response. The Ogun State government has remained silent despite repeated calls for innovation and re-equipment. Residents warn that without urgent action, the hospital will continue to fail the community, putting lives at risk and forcing people to rely on inadequate private clinic or self-medication. And in business, 2025 insurance and financial experts say that the newly signed Nigerian Insurance Industry Reform Act, the Naira 2025, will significantly boost the sector's contribution to the country's gross domestic product (GDP). Speaking at the 10th annual conference of the Nigerian Association of Insurance and Pension Editors, stakeholders said the legislation signed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in July 2025 introduces key reforms aimed at expanding insurance penetration, boosting industry's confidence, and improving claims payments. The Commissioner for Insurance, Mr. Olusegun Omosheni, represented by NACOM Director Dr. Usman, explained that the Act introduces a two-tier capital framework, minimum capital requirement of 10 billion naira and 35 billion naira, depending on the insurance category, and a risk-based capital model tailored to insurers' exposures. He said the reform will lead to greater local risk retention, job creation, and an increase in industry stability, allowing companies to underwrite complex risks and build public trust through timely claims and simpler policy documentation. Other speakers, including Mrs. Bola Odukale, Director General of the Nigerian Insurance Association, and Mr. Makonjo Latubi of the MPL Life Insurance, emphasized the importance of implementing the law, raising awareness, and targeting Nigeria's informal sector. They stressed that effective enforcement of compulsory insurance policy, such as those for building under construction, tankers, and public liability, could help unlock the industry's potential and drive Nigeria closer to its $1 trillion economy target. The NIA planned to launch a webinar series and engage the public in public education to ensure widespread compliance and awareness of the new law. And in sports, the Super Falcons under 20 women's team took a vital step towards qualifying for 2026 FIFA under 20 Women's Cup in Poland. After securing a narrow 1-0 victory over Rwanda, the first leg qualifier on Sunday, 2025, the match played at Kigali Stadium saw both sides locked in a goalless first half, with Rwanda largely focused on defense containment. The breakthrough for Nigeria came in the 70th minute, where Janet rose highest to power home a header from the corner kick, handing the visitors a crucial away goal. Despite Rwanda's late push for equalizer, the Falconets' defense held firm, maintaining their slim advantage going into the return leg. The second leg is scheduled for September 27, 2025 at the Lekon Salami Stadium in Ibadan, Oyo State, where Falconets will look to finish the job in front of their home crowd. The winner of the tie will advance to the third round of the African qualifiers and face either Senegal or Algeria in their continuing bid to secure a spot at the global tournament. That'll be all that we have for you on Idea TV, news updates. But before we go, let's take a look at our headlines once again. BCPG calls for advanced rescue tech after deadly YABA building collapse. Access Bank launches 2025 WOMENPRENEUR Pitchathon. US reaffirms support for Nigeria's students at 2025 Education Fair in Abuja. China pledges $10 billion to build Africa's Silicon Valley in South Africa. And away from Africa, Trump's US dollars HB1 visa fees spark concern for US tech sector. And in health, IPOKIA General Hospital in Ogun State crumbles amid neglect and